Hey guys, so let's you and me in this video talk a little bit about knowledge snowballing. And what is that? Well, let's get into it. Knowledge snowballing, there's probably another term for it that is much better than this one, but it basically is, to me, the concept of you want to learn one thing, but in order to learn that one thing, you need to learn 3 other things, and in order to learn those 3 things, you need to learn 6 things. And then it just kind of goes on and on and on and on. Stop me if you've ever heard this, and especially if you're a front-end developer, this is true. I even argue that one of the biggest problems with Node today is that you literally have to learn a million things in order to get started with it. Like it's, if I tell you to go and learn Node, the first thing that you're going to learn is that you need to learn npm, and then you need to learn Express. And then you need to learn, like if you want to do anything else that is meaningful, you have to learn a rendering, like what's a renderer? Like you want to put up a web page, right? Then you need to learn something like Jade or Swig or Pug or like whatever they call it today. And then you have Webpack, and then you might need to learn Gulp or Grunt if you don't want to go vanilla, because then it's all script based in the npm. Like there's so much. Like it's just one of the most common videos that I see when it comes to fatigue is JavaScript fatigue. That's where this term is coming from, because there's so many libraries, there's so much stuff going on. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Like if you have gotten over the hump, if you are where I am today, where I've done all the grunt work, I know enough to know what everything is, and I kind of have a good, I have a solid foundation of understanding. It's a lot of fun, because you know what's a good bet and what's a bad bet, and you learn things very quickly. But I remember when I was just starting out. Good God, it was so horrible. Like there was so much, and I had no idea what I was gonna go for. It's actually one of my favorite reasons for why people come and watch my videos, because I want to just help you. I just want to help you to kind of see if I can help you to get an understanding of because I understand, if you're watching this, you're most likely one of those people who don't really, you're trying to just figure this programming thing out, right? There's so many things to pick between, and I think it's great to have somebody who's already done the journey and can give you a bit of a small insight, because if you just go to the vendors that people are making the thing, they all promise the same thing, right? So it's better to have, in my opinion, it's better to have somebody who's a little bit neutral. So knowledge snowballing. It is an issue, and it's something that you're going to face more in some languages than in others. And in this video, I just want to give you some thoughts on that. I have made previous videos where I have told you that I think that the best programming language to start off for a beginner is JavaScript, and that is because you can do the absolute largest range of things with JavaScript. That is absolutely true, but it's also one of the languages where you get the most knowledge snowballing, that the most amount of stuff that you need to know in order to get started. And that is maybe an issue for you, so I thought I'd tell you a few things about what the general things that you kind of have to learn, regardless of language you go to, regardless of if you're a Java guy or a C# guy, if you're a Go guy or girl, like whoever, or PHP or whatever. There are a few things you should know about. You need to, if you want to do web applications, you need to know HTML, you need to know CSS, and you need to know JavaScript. Basically, you need to know a server-side language, and you need to know a database, or know how to use a database. Those are the general concepts, and it kind of goes from there. And if I were to give you some advice on languages that probably are very nice to use, if you want to I can't even believe I'm saying this. If you want to just keep things easy for yourself, if you just want to do things without having to learn a bazillion other things, so just to keep yourself in your own little bubble where you just can produce the results rather than becoming a master of programming, then there are a few languages that do this, in my opinion, better than anybody else. the first and foremost language is C Sharp. C Sharp is probably the best language out there in the world for people who just wants to get stuff done. And I argue that C Sharp and Java people, C Sharp probably a little bit more than Java people, they can spend their whole career without ever having to go outside of the Microsoft box, because that's how well Microsoft structured this language and the tools around it. Being productive is, and I mean, I'm not just saying just productivity in speed terms, just in general. Like, if you can build something, if you are good at C Sharp, there is nothing you can't build in terms of like you can build everything. You can start a startup on C Sharp. You can start a corporation on C Sharp. A lot of corporations run on C Sharp, so it's probably one of the best bets out there. If you're not a C Sharp person and you want to be a little bit more trendy and you want to actually have probably the nicest community in the world, I think that like a lot of my favorite tools that I find in JavaScript have roots in the Ruby community. Ruby and Ruby on Rails is probably one of the fastest most beginner-friendly ways to start building web pages. It is absolutely amazing. It's once again this tiny little ecosystem of services where everybody's very nice, and the tools are very, very well thought out. Absolutely amazing. These two languages, I would say, like, you can spend your entire career just working in these two languages, and they will give you everything I was talking about earlier. Like they have tools for all of it. You don't have to go to like a bazillion different places to figure out where everything is, and like they will help you with this. And you can build. These are not like C Sharp, especially not. C Sharp is not a toy language. This is like serious stuff. This was serious way before, like Go and these, like, the cooler language today even came into their own, right? And Ruby was the biggest boom. I think that Ruby was probably ahead of the curve when the boom from just using Java and C Sharp for everything came, and everybody got into a more diverse ecosystem of programming languages. Ruby on Rails was like the hottest thing, and maybe it still is in somewhere. I think in America it's still extremely popular. Like so Ruby on Rails is a really, really good bet. As I said, if you're into just getting stuff done, you're not a programming fanatic or something like that. And the last one I'm going to put in here because I think it actually deserves to be here, and that is Go. Go is fucking amazing. Sorry, it is amazing. It is, once again, I would say that if I were to start all over today and somebody's told, like, not for job purposes, Go, you cannot really, it's very difficult to find a job for like working with Go here in Gothenburg, at least. It's if you're a C Sharp person, shit, just move here today. They're going to give you a job before you even touch ground on the airport. Java and C Sharp is massive here in Gothenburg, not Go, but Go, I hope it actually makes it into this massive super language, because Go is a system level language that once again gives you pretty much everything you need. You don't really have to go outside of Go's native libraries to do almost everything web. You can render pages, and you can like do your routing, and you can do all that stuff. You can do system level stuff, which like is immensely powerful. You have more performance in theory than what the other platforms have. So Go is it's a bit of a love child of mine. And I would say that, I mean, you can, I know some people are going to tell me that, oh, you should throw PHP into the mix, but I kind of go like PHP, let's put PHP on the list as well. Because PHP is also this thing that, if you just learn PHP, you can basically do everything web related. There's a little bit more to it than, but it is still a very solid choice. It's also one of those languages where you can just get stuff done. It's not the sexiest language in the world, but it's very effective. You get very productive. I absolutely like doing web development in PHP is actually it's really nice. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I absolutely love that I can just refresh the page whenever I want and just see my changes immediately. Not even JavaScript does that very well. I need to have all these watchers and stuff. And that's coming from a JavaScript like senior, whatever. I don't even know. I wouldn't call myself a senior, but it's like I've been called a JavaScript fanboy, and maybe I am. I don't know. I wouldn't call myself that. I just like programming. So to summarize, I would say that my favorite, like when it comes to knowledge snowballing, and this, as I said, this idea that you need to learn 5 things to learn one thing. You want to avoid that as much as possible. Go to C#, Ruby, Go, or PHP. Those would be my favorite languages for just getting stuff done.